Because to me, personally, difference of opinions or different viewpoints for me is like, hey, I don't eat ranch dressing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
You
Even
know,
I
like,
like Kendrick Lamar and you like Drake. I can even tolerate that. I think you're
yeah,
wrong, but I can
yep,
tolerate that.
I can tolerate that. Yeah. Or like, you like country music and I don't. Like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when it gets to the point that, like, we're denying someone basic human rights
Definitely.
just so you can be comfortable and prosper, that's where I draw the line, babes. Me
Absolutely.
personally.
Absolutely.
Me personally.
Black people can't be racist.
Welcome back to Black Behind the Chair. I'm Peppermint Petty,
I'm M-Pad.
and we are two Black hairstylists who work on all textures of hair. In cosmetology school, we're taught not to talk about religion, politics, sex, and salaries. But this is what happens when Blackness meets the beauty industry. While you're here, please subscribe to our channel. We love respectful discourse. Definitely leave us a comment, like this video. It's a free way to support our growth. Also, we actually have a phone number. So if you have comments, questions, concerns, you can call or text at 470-713-5905. And then you can do that anonymously, or if you'd like a shout out, leave your or your name, and we will make sure to include it. Wow, there's actually a lot of people on here. Hi,
Oh,
Dee Dee. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people. Okay. All right.
cool.
So we we're just going. We're going to act like that's not even happening. Okay. So, first of all, one word to describe your hair this week.
Uh, growing.
Definitely. I was actually looking back at some of our older episodes because this has been like a little over a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the one where you had like just cut it off, and then I was editing because we just did the surprise episode last week for the Super Bowl. I'm like, her
Yeah.
hair has gotten so long. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did also color it. I put a little blue hue on
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Very fancy. We
Yeah.
love.
How would you describe your hair?
I would describe mine today as highly textured. I just really wanted to accentuate the texture and just like see what was happening. Mine has actually grown quite a bit as well. I just
Yeah,
cut
I was
all my
gonna
hair off in
say.
September, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
My daughter was laughing at me because I'm already ready to lock again. And it hasn't been 6 months. I don't even think it's been 6 months. But I am over it, okay? I love my hair. It's not hair hate. I love my hair. I just don't love having to do something with it so that I look, you know, presentable.
No, I get it. I
Hi,
want to grow
TikTok.
mine to like very long, but I had an undercut for so long, and so like it's weird having hair back
On the back
here.
of your neck, yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, because I have like a lot of hair, so
Yes.
I'm always like, I wonder how long I'll get before I do the undercut.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Seriously. Well, because those summers in St. Louis, I always describe the humidity in St. Louis as oppressive. I
yeah.
remember being a little girl, even though I've never like lived in St. Louis for any extended period of my life, I spent every summer there as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and my sister and my cousins, we always called ourselves the children of the basement because my grandparents had a finished basement and we would just rather go down there to kick it because you felt like you were drowning when you went outside in St. Louis. It was so
Mhm.
humid, so hot.
Apparently, it's because we're in between, like, 2 rivers, but I don't
Yeah,
know if that's,
and it's
like
kind of a bowl, I think.
yeah, mhm.
So, good stuff.
Lucky us.
I love St. Louis, though. I miss the
Yes.
Chinese food for real. Not even gonna hold you.
Mhm. We
Okay,
do
so
have
if this is your first time joining Black Behind the Chair, one of the things that you need to know about us is we're really kind of a continuing conversation. And so the last time that we got together, like I said, it was a surprise episode because we just had to get together to talk about the Super Bowl. And I didn't want to wait a week because the energy was just giving.
we had to talk about
So we wanted to do that, but now it's been a week and I still have thoughts. Like, are you still thinking about it or are you over it already?
No, like, I'm still having conversations with my guest about it, so
Yeah. What are your
and
guests saying about it?
um, a lot of them loved it.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that I had the other day, we were talking about it, and, what did he say? Oh, he was like, I don't think he got the bigger picture, and he's also, like, a 16-year-old white kid that goes to a private school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like yeah, because I asked him, I was like, "What did you think about the halftime show?" And he was like, "I mean, I thought it was okay." And I was like, "Oh, like, what was okay about it?"
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think he really understood, like, the big picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there were certain things that I thought he would have an issue with, but, like, he didn't. Like, he said that he loved the American flag
Mm-hmm.
portion of it, and so that part I kinda was like, "Oh, okay."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just assumed that he wouldn't like that part, so it kinda
Okay.
shocked me that that was the part he liked. It
Okay.
almost sounded like he didn't care for the songs that Kendrick picked.
Uh,
More so than, like, the overall visuals.
yeah.
Mhm.
My hubby and I went out for dinner the other day, and we went to a Thai place. And it's just really close quarters. It's a pretty small restaurant. It's very close quarters. So we were sitting next to this older couple. The man, I think he said he was 67 or 68. But my husband and I are just sitting there chatting about, like, this is the first time we've seen each other all day. We met each other there. So we're just
Mhm.
like getting caught up on our day. And the guy, first of all, interrupts our conversation, doesn't say excuse me or anything. So, and he's just like, "Hey, did you guys see that Super Bowl?" So I just turned around and just stared at him. Like, I didn't answer
Uh-huh.
him. I just stared at him and he goes, "Oh, excuse me." Yes, because you got me fucked up. Like,
Right.
and you're old enough to know better. What are you doing?
Mm.
So, but he was asking about the Super Bowl. He said that he was from Kansas City, and then he like laughed out loud, and we saw his three teeth, and like, yep, that tracks. Um, and he was just talking about how much he loved it, and he just is watching all of the like all the breakdowns of it and like getting all the little nuggets. And that's, I kind of low key hate the breakdown. Like, I love them, but I kind of hate them because I feel like we're giving away too many recipes personally. Um, but there is also a lot of stuff that does get left out. So, but
Mhm.
anyway, we had like a little chat, and then my husband and I went back to it. But I just thought that was funny because we're in Georgia, but where we were having dinner was like south of Atlanta, like 40 minutes south of Atlanta. So it's not like Atlanta, you can go for days and not see a white person. South of
Yeah.
Atlanta, that's where all the white
Yeah.
people are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I was surprised, honestly, because it's very Trumpy, the area that we were in.
Mhm.
So I was kind of surprised. But anyway, at some point while my husband and I were talking, I heard him lean over to his wife and he was explaining 40 Acres and a Mule. And I said to my husband, I'm just like, and this is what I'm talking about. Like they try to act like they don't know, but they know. They just
They
don't
know.
want us to know that they know. Like you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I did the little bit earlier this week about Samuel L. Jackson too, just kind of giving some insight into that because that was my favorite part.
Mhm.
Like I love the whole thing, but Samuel L. was my favorite part, and so knowing his history and like everything that he's done and been through to get to that point, and
Mhm.
then I mean, it was basically like a triple entendre to have him there as Uncle Sam, which is fucking ridiculously dope. I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It was just so great. And did you see his halftime performance has more views than the moon landing?
What?
Mhm.
I did not. I did not see that. I saw that he had passed Michael Jackson though, which is kind of a big deal. Michael
Mhm.
Jackson's Super Bowl because I remember watching that as a child. And like I was screaming my head off. Like I was a kid, but I was screaming my head like so to now see that be surpassed was kind of crazy. Did you
Yeah.
see the Peekaboo conspiracy for the
No.
song Peekaboo that he performed? So you remember that the well, I don't know if I'd call it a conspiracy, but yeah, kind of. So you know the field or the stage was set up like a game controller. You
Mhm.
had the different, the square, triangle, circle. So when
Mhm.
he did Peekaboo, he was standing inside of the X in the center of the X on the field, and the X was on the 30-yard line.
Okay.
Okay. Roman numerals for the number 30 is XXX. And that
Mm.
song is allegedly alluding to Drake's involvement of the unaliving of XXX Extension or whatever his name is because I'm an old
Oh,
lady, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that was an interesting wormhole to dive down for me too.
Mm. So even more like
Yeah.
stuff being
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
then the only other thing that I want to add to that conversation is also so remember, I was also so hype about the guy that was standing on the car with the Free Sudan, Free Palestine sign. So I
Yeah.
found out his name. His name is Zul Karin Karnenuntumbo. Karnenuntumbo. Um, and he's done a couple of interviews since then, and his reasoning for why he did. I mean, what he did that was iconic. Like that was
Yeah.
king behavior.
Mhm.
And he did get kicked out of out of the stadium and banned, but I'm not even sure how they can really enforce that.
Right.
Because like what? Um, but funny, I was in the salon this past week and I overheard some they weren't my clients, they were someone else's clients, and it was a dad and his son talking about it with their stylist. And
Mhm.
the son and the stylist are talking about it, and then here comes the dad, like, yeah, he got in really big trouble about that, and I just, I hope he goes to jail and da 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 da. Da. And I'm just like, first of all, the dad kept saying it was free Palestine and free Syria. And I corrected him twice because he's pissing
Mhm.
me off. It's Sudan.
Yeah.
Um, and he just ignored me. But also big trouble. Like, shut up. I just am
Literally.
so sick of people complying in advance. What laws did he break? Name
Right.
one.
And are you aware that the president is a convicted felon?
Hello. So yeah. Anywho, that's all I got to say about that.
It
What you
just
got
like
for me?
reminds me, I saw this meme earlier and what did it say? Um Sorry, I'm trying to find it.
You're okay.
It said something like, "Oh, my apologies for assuming like you had critical thinking skills. Like my bad."
That's on me.
Yeah, like, sorry, I thought you were more intelligent than you actually are. Yeah,
Literally.
that's definitely on me. Hey, so did you know that a hairstylist has more training than a cop? Yeah, on average, a police officer only needs about 600 to 800 hours of training. That's about 3 to 6 months in a police academy before they can carry a badge, a gun, and make life or death decisions. Meanwhile, to become a licensed cosmetologist, we're in school for 1,000 to 2,300 hours. That's about 9 months to 2 years, learning about hair, skin, nails, and chemicals before we can even touch a client.
So I saw that Luigi Mangione had made his first public statement.
Yeah.
I
I
have you
would
I
like to see like footage though. Like, you know
mm,
what I mean? Because I don't think we've seen him since his one court hearing or
mm-mm.
whatever that was.
So how was it
So,
released? Do you know?
through his legal team.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What did he say? Because I haven't actually gotten a chance to look to
Oh,
see.
let me pull
Like I
it
saw
up.
that he'd released it, but I actually have no idea what he said.
Yeah. He said, I am overwhelmed by and grateful for everyone who has written me to share their stories and express their support. Powerfully, this support has transcended political, racial, and even class divisions as mail has flooded MDC from across the country and around the globe. While it is impossible for me to reply to most letters, please know that I read every one that I receive. Thank you again to everyone who took the time to write. I look forward to hearing more in the future.
Okay. I would be very careful sending him letters. I think it's dope that people are sending letters. I would be very careful sending him letters, what you say,
For sure.
especially under this current regime, especially.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Which is
pre-release.
wild because Ted Bundy was able to get his girl a wife and her pregnant while in prison.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Good
Mhm.
time.
Good time.
Good
Good
time.
times. I love it here.
Yes. Yes.
America.
So I know literally. I know that you were going to okay, so the Candace Owen alt-right pipeline. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
tell me what you got, because you sent me a text last time the time before the last time we chatted, and you tell me your thoughts on the Candace Owen alt-right pipeline.
Okay. So I have me personally, I've been invested in this whole like Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds drama.
Mm.
And on my TikTok feed, I started getting like Candace Owens videos about because she was talking on the Blake Ryan or sorry, the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni situation. And
Okay.
so I wouldn't say that I like actively went to her page to look at because I was like, I don't want her bullshit to like change my algorithm.
Not for real.
But if it did pop up on my For You page, and if it was about specifically about the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, I would watch it. And I found myself agreeing with her on this particular subject. And I
Mm-hmm.
even was like talking to some of my coworkers and guests about it. And I was like, low key, I was like, where has this Candace been? Like, if Candace kind of would have stuck to like celebrity drama or something, like maybe she wouldn't be hated as much. But then I saw, and I'm not like giving grace, right? Like we all
Sure,
know who Candace Owens is, what she stands
sure,
for, all.
sure.
Um, but I should have saved that video that I saw, but I saw someone posted a video and they were like, "Hey, if you are seeing Candace Owens videos and she's talking about like pop culture stuff, because I guess she has like other videos about like pop culture things that are happening currently." And so they were like, "Yeah, that's like the alt-right pipeline. They try to get you with like stuff that you can relate to or stuff that you're talking about or stuff that you're interested in
Yeah,
without necessarily like bringing their politics into it, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
that way they kind of trap you into this, see, like we're agreeing on this, and then later
Mm-hmm.
on, they start planting the seeds of like the politics behind it. And I was
Absolutely.
like,
They tried it.
you almost got me. Like,
They tried it.
you almost had me.
Yes.
Cause I sure was. I mean, I probably watched like 3 of her video, if they popped up on my
Mm-hmm,
feed,
mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and I was like,
Yeah.
ah,
But again, you're a critical thinker. But do you remember the kid? I guess it's been I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now. The black kid that did the school How Pow. You remember that?
mm,
You know what I'm talking about?
mm-hmm,
Solomon somebody, I don't remember his name. But then I know it was Solomon somebody. But and he was like deep, 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 like very anti-black, very, even though he was a black man.
mm,
Um, and it made me think about what you said. You texted me something to the effect of like, you were talking about this generation of kids, right? And like growing up, like when I think about my grandson who's 8, well, I have 2 grandchildren. The older one is almost 12. I think he'll be fine. But the 8
mm-hmm,
year old will have to be very um, a little more in tune because he's going to be taught about the Gulf of America in school, right? And
yeah,
he's going to grow up with our current situation as being the norm. So,
mm-hmm,
I mean, he doesn't know any better. He's a kid. So
mm-hmm.
we'll just have to be extra diligent and keeping our eye on what, and he's 8, so we don't really do like a lot of online stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll just have to really be diligent with that because his critical thinking isn't all up to par yet. He's 8. Like we're still working on that frontal lobe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it always makes me like a little nervous too because there are some kids that are so much smarter at like technology and
Mm,
stuff more than their parents are. And
absolutely.
like I know one of my little brothers, I mean, he like the things that he can do on a computer is wild.
Hmm.
And he's also built his own computer. Like, yeah, he
Hmm.
is. Sometimes I'm always like, one day the FBI is going to come asking, and I'm not going to know a thing, but
Hmm.
like, I'll know.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I hear parents too say like, "Oh yeah, we put up these parental blocks and like all this stuff." And I'm just thinking, so did my parents, and the shit that I was doing on my computer,
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Um so, and it's only gotten smarter.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. And easier to do those things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, like even the the quote unquote kids app, well, adult men are infiltrating those and, harassing and assaulting kids through that. So,
Yeah. We had no idea. So, I'm a grandparent and the 8 year
a
old
grandma.
uh, uh, You know what? I fully embrace Granny, like fully embrace it. Because I know that when he's talking about his granny, they are not expecting for me to walk in the door. So I'm here for it. But he's into Roblox. I don't know anything about Roblox. I just know that he's into it, right? So
Mhm.
he's in there chatting, like he's talking. He's playing the
Mhm.
game and he keeps talking. And I'm like, who are you talking to? And he's like, my friend in the game. I'm like, what? you know?
Yeah.
And he's got hearing aids. So, he can just Bluetooth. So I can't hear
Mm.
what the other person's saying.
Mhm.
And so we're like, yeah, absolutely not, because you don't know who those people are. And I don't know if I've ever told you the story of it was a young woman. I'll make it quick because we're already almost 30 minutes in, but a young woman, she was a client of mine. I actually literally just did her hair yesterday. When she was a young teen, she met someone online, started to communicate with them. Her behavior started to change, which is what kind of tipped off her parents. Her parents like tried to block it so that she couldn't communicate with him anymore. She
Mhm.
continued to communicate with him anyway, of course. Um, and long story short, she went for a walk one time. And well, this is what she told her parents. She was going for a walk. And meanwhile, she was meeting this guy who was a fully grown adult man who lived in Florida. He had driven up from Florida to come and see this child down the street from her home, assaulted her, and her mom didn't find out until like very recently. And
Mm.
me and her mom both are just like, she's lucky to be alive.
Mhm.
Like, I hate to be like, she should be glad that's all that happened, because obviously that's horrific.
Yeah.
But she could have disappeared, never to be found again. And that's what's terrifying as a parent, and well, now grandparent, is that kids, again, that frontal lobe's not all there. They just think everybody, little B, he's all about friends. He's an only child, so
Mm.
he's all about making friends. And they don't know that everybody's not your friend. And,
Right.
it's
Mhm.
terrifying, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I had an uncle and I heard this story through my cousin.
Mhm,
She said she was driving, like he was taking her somewhere, and she's an adult, but we also have like younger cousins.
mhm,
I mean, I have a 17-year-old sister who was, and he died, so it's not like he can cause any harm now, but when she told me this, I was like, well, if he's doing that try to do that to you,
mhm,
what's happening if he's alone with these kids?
mhm.
She said that they were like she was driving him somewhere and he like put his hand on her thigh and was like, I want to make love to you.
Her cousin,
Her uncle,
her uncle.
our great uncle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And thankfully, because that made me worry about my sister. So, like, I remember I called my dad and was like, hey, what's the relationship with you and Uncle Woody? And he was like, oh, I don't talk to him. And I make sure Kiera doesn't talk to him either. And I was like, okay.
Great. So he
Yeah,
must
let's
know.
yeah, or had a sense or something. I was like, yeah, let's keep it that way cuz
Hey guys, it's me, Peppermint Petty, one half of the dynamic duo that is Black Behind the Chair. First of all, we want to thank you for spending your Sunday evenings with us. Every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join us for salon things, politics, current events, news, jokey jokes, and more. We just love this little community that we're building of like-minded people, and we just want to say Thanks so much for being here with us. We're trying to hit a goal of 500 subscribers by the spring. So if you could do us a quick favor and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also, engaging with our comment by liking, sharing, and commenting allows the algorithm to do what it does. Lastly, if you have something to say to us, anything at all, a question about something in the beauty industry, a topic you'd like us to cover, leave us a voice message at 470-713-5905. You can do that anonymously or leave your social media if you'd like a shout out. And now back to Black Behind the Chair. I was curious for you because now we are roughly a month into the new administration. Those first couple of weeks, I feel like I was just kind of shell shocked. I'm starting to kind of come out of it now, but what's the energy been like in the salon? How are things feeling behind the chair?
Yeah, I have a pretty, like I feel like a lot of my guests do not like Trump. So they're all just kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And, I'm very vocal about who I am, what I've done. And so it's kind of funny. I think a part of them feel like they can't fully like let out their frustrations because I already know. Welcome to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you're here.
Hell yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so,
Absolutely.
because I was just telling my friend today, I was like, I'm kind of struggling seeing certain people say, well, I didn't know he was going to be this bad, or I didn't think he was going to do that, or the one you told me to or said to watch that video clip of that woman.
Oh, that we
That
wanted to react to. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, you want me to show you grace because you're now figuring out that these people are horrible? Where were you when they were doing this to Black and brown people? Where were you when they were destroying Native Americans' land so they could build a fucking pipeline?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, now you're upset because it's affecting you in your everyday life. Because for
Yeah.
whatever reason, you didn't think that they would come after you too.
Mm-hmm.
And now you want me to hold your hand and guide you through this?
Yeah. What did you think about one of the things that she said was like that we're gonna have to how did she word it? Like basically the sentiment of what she was saying was basically none of us are ever gonna agree on everything 100%. So that basically all of us are gonna have to like find common ground to fight, you know, I don't know if she called it fascism or oligarchy or whatever the terming was. But
Mhm.
basically that we were going to need to fight alongside people that we didn't agree with. Um I see your face. I know for me it was like I don't feel comfortable. Kendrick said a line during the Super Bowl when he said, "I'll cut my own granny off if she don't see it the way I see it," and I felt that really hard.
I Yeah. As someone who has cut not their granny, but their grandpa off, like,
In real life.
100 in real life.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, not gonna lie, I when did I watch that video? Last night or the other night? And I was already, like, doing my own research on something else, and that video fucking triggered me. I was, like, heated
Yeah.
because I'm just like, how dare you? Because to me, personally, difference of opinions or different viewpoints for me is like, hey, I don't eat ranch dressing.
hmm
I don't eat pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
You
Even
know,
I
like,
like Kendrick Lamar and you like Drake. I can even tolerate that. I think you're
yeah,
wrong, but I can
yep,
tolerate that.
I can tolerate that. Yeah. Or like you like country music and I don't. Like,
hmm
okay.
hmm
But when it gets to the point that like we're denying someone basic human rights,
that part.
just so you can be comfortable and prosper. That's where I draw the line, babes. Me
Absolutely.
personally.
Absolutely.
Me personally. And like I was just telling my friend today too, I'm curious with all these quote unquote woke people and like ready for the revolution, all that. Are you really about liberation for all? Or are you just trying to go back to where you were comfortable and you didn't have to deal with it? Because there is a
Absolutely.
huge difference. And I can tell you right now, I'm not tolerating going back to what we had.
Period.
So it's either we're making it better for everyone
Mm-hmm.
or count
Fuck
me
off.
out.
Yep.
Count me
Literally.
out. And me
Literally.
personally, I'll if I get a call from the FBI or some people show up at my house, I've told a lot of people, unless we're ready to do our own January 6th, count me out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not really about it, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of it. I've
No
done my
sir.
part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 31 years old. I've been active since Mike Brown.
Mm-hmm.
That's 11 years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so this isn't
Yeah.
my lesson to learn.
Yeah. Period. Yeah. And I'm with you. I'm with you when you're right. That's just it. That's just it. And same as you. And I got tired. The last protest I attended was actually in 2021 in Atlanta when they I don't even remember the gentleman's name. I'll add it to the edit. But when they shot the guy in the Burger King drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living in Indiana at the time, but just happened to be visiting Atlanta because I was moving to Atlanta and landed that day, and then they shot him that night. And so then I was at a protest the next day in downtown Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually kind of shocked by the way the protest was happening in Atlanta, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, same as you. Like I just am to the point I don't want to scream at empty buildings anymore. Like I know they're having that nationwide protest at all the Capitol buildings tomorrow, and by all means, if that if you feel how you feel and you want to go and do that, I encourage you to do that. But like the Capitol building's closed. No one's even going to be there. I don't want to go and scream at an empty building. Like that doesn't make me feel powerful. I don't want to do
Mm-mm.
that. So,
Nope. Yeah, and like, and unless we're gonna do something powerful, like
mhm,
I remember I attended a meeting. Oh, it might have been during the Stockley protests, maybe, and it was a lot of leaders here in St. Louis. And we were just kind of. I don't consider myself a leader, but there were a lot of leaders there,
mhm,
and they were just coming up with ideas of like what could we do during an action. And I did pitch an idea. I said, when we go out, like, again, blocking traffic, yelling in the streets, going to the police station and like yelling at them, I was like, I don't think we're really like getting the message across,
mm.
because they don't see us as people, right? Like the people are, that were blocking traffic would run us over if they knew that they wouldn't get in trouble.
And that's
You
now
know,
another concern as well because
yeah,
Trump's made it
absolutely.
clear that he's fine with you running people over. Yeah.
Right, 100%. And I mean, even up here in St. Louis, when they shut down 70 going into St. Charles, St. Peter's, a woman, I think, did try to plow through protesters.
Hmm.
And then the woman who like kicked her car in response, they were trying to get her on a felony charge.
Hmm. Was that? I think Mike is his name Mikey? Mike was hurt. He was like one of the
Hmm.
core, like you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I think he
uh-huh.
was hurt during that.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
a felony for kicking a car is crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, that's, I mean,
A
the
car that just
picture.
tried to run you over.
Right, and I'm sure you've seen the picture, because I think it was that day too. It's police literally holding this older woman, like, she had to have been 60 or 70 in a hog tie. Like, that was such a brutal, like, arrest and situation. Because my mom actually got arrested during that protest, and we had no idea where she was for, like, 10 hours. Like,
That's ridiculous.
I had to call 3 different police departments, and each time they were like, "They're transferring them to here, they're transferring them to there," and I'm like, "Why are we transferring? Like, get them somewhere and book them." Like,
Horrific.
that's insane.
Yeah. Well, and it was probably purposeful, right? Like
Mhm.
that's a part of the
100%.
psychological warfare.
Yep.
Yeah, and just keeping you disoriented and chaotic and yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
horrible. That's horrific. Ugh. But shout out to your mom for putting her body on the line. You're gonna be a white mom, you need to do your damn job.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious. So for me, salon energy wise, so I just I think probably this like last I would say like 5 days have started to feel less shell shocked, but it still is like extremely frustrating for me that we're all just kind of walking around acting like we're just going about life as normal as usual. Like, and I've been saying for years that every day that I wake up and this country isn't on fire is beyond me because there's been reason after reason after reason. But like now, no, like for real, there's really a lot of reasons. Like,
Mhm.
what is it gonna take, man?
Well, and that's why, like, one of the topics I wanted to talk about was, like, where are the Democrats?
Where are the Democrats? We're definitely going there in hour two. That's gonna be in the second hour.
Hey, just wanted to remind you that you don't cook a frozen pizza at 450 degrees, so stop turning your hot tool to 450 degrees. Your hair is not a frozen pizza. Thank you.
You have on here professional opinion versus personal opinion. I kind of am interested in where you were.
Yeah, I should have tied it into, like, the haircut versus a hair trim.
Okay.
Um, Only because, like, I'm sure you've had a guest that's come in and they need, like, 3 inches off and they only want a half inch off. And it's like, okay, like, I know you wanna grow your hair or keep it long or whatever, but my professional opinion, I think you should cut this much off.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, I don't want to cut that much off.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, but, like, are you aware that it's still gonna split, and then the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
time you come in, instead of 3 inches, we might have to so and I don't wanna say, like, I'm confrontational, I guess I'm, like, blunt and intense,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
so, like, I just get sometimes frustrated when
Mm.
they're just like, "Well, no, I wanna take this much off." It's like, "Well, why are you here?
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
to a Grab Lips," or, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
No, for
so
sure.
well, and then just to go with, like, the haircut versus a hair trim, the older I get, the more I'm like, if I cut, like, every hair on your head, that is a haircut. It doesn't
Period.
matter how
How much?
much length or whatever I took off, like, that's a haircut, so you're gonna be charged a full haircut price.
Yeah.
I think a trim should be more for like the shorter cuts, like someone who maybe has a pixie and gets, like their sides shaved down or something like that. Like, yeah, if you want to come in like 3 weeks instead of 5 weeks, we could
Mhm.
just do a quick little, clean up your sides and your neckline. Like, then I think that's a trim because I didn't touch anything up here and I
Yeah.
didn't touch all hairs on your
Yeah.
head. you know?
Yeah. So the way that I handle it is if I'm touching every hair on your head, well, if I'm touching your head, period, it's a haircut. Like, and I'm going to give you the full experience, but it's a haircut. But it doesn't matter if I take a 16th of an inch or 16 inches, it's the same amount of work. I'm still
Mhm.
dividing the hair up, I'm still sectioning, I'm still tension, like all of the things. I'm still literally doing the exact same thing. It's just how much hair is in my hand is the only is the only difference. So it's not costing any less time in my chair. So that's number one. Number two, what I've found is that if you have an option for a trim that's a different price than a haircut, every client will try to convince you that they're just getting a trim.
Mm.
Every client. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I'm the professional and
Mhm.
you don't get to tell me whether it's a trim or a haircut. And so by having just that one price, and like we talked about last or 2 weeks ago when Lindsay was on, Lindsay Leans Left,
Mhm.
um, that's why I like to charge hourly, because then it doesn't matter. Like, this is how
Yep.
much my time costs. And
Mhm.
so we can do whatever you want as long as you're paying for that amount of time.
Yep.
Um, but then when it comes to the people that need 9 inches and they only want a half an inch, I did work for a chain years ago. And one of the things that I learned when I was going through their training was to always show the client how much you're cutting off before you
Mm.
cut it. It just helps to like take like it just is better communication, so there's no like, oh, you cut too much off, right? So one of
Mhm.
the tricks that I've learned is I will pull their hair up to show them how much I'm taking off,
Mhm.
so that I can show them, like, look at this, it's like thick, 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 and then you get up here and I can literally read a newspaper through your hair.
Yep.
Now, the reason it's important for you to cut all of that hair off, you said that you wanted your hair to grow, correct? Okay, you said that your hair doesn't grow, but you're in here every 6 weeks getting your roots touched up, but your length hasn't changed. Well, if you're getting your roots touched, that means your hair is growing, right? The reason you can't see it is because, and then you explain to them what you just explained, which is you don't cut those dead ends off. It's just going to continue to split and break, and you're never going to see the length. So it's very rare these days that when I recommend someone to get a certain amount cut off, that they don't let me. But I've also spent a lot of time and work leading up to that moment before I've ever
Mhm.
even touched their hair, like gaining their trust, right? So that by the time
Yeah.
I get to the point where I have to tell them, by the way, we're cutting 5 inches off today, they at least trust me, right? And then it's like
Mhm.
but I know it's frustrating, and I will tell people, like, if we don't cut this off, you're wasting my time and your money. I'm just being honest.
Literally.
I'll do it
Literally.
because you're going to pay me anyway, but I'm just
Mhm.
letting you know that you're
Mhm.
wasting your money if you don't get all that cut off.
Yeah. Yeah, and I only brought that up because I had a girl the other day and she's like 14. So like I really shouldn't even be tripping over a
Mhm.
child,
Yeah,
right?
she's a baby.
But
Yeah.
yeah. But she has extremely curly hair. She's
Mhm.
like one of those white people where I'm like, I need you to do a DNA test
Mhm.
cuz
Mhm.
you got something along these lines.
Mhm.
Cuz
Mhm.
I want to say her hair is probably curlier than mine. And
Okay.
she's a little like pale, blue-eyed white girl. Like,
Mhm.
and not to say that, white people can't have curly hair, but I'm like, I want to see what's the
Mhm.
history here.
Mhm.
And I hadn't seen her in a year. And I just kind of assumed like maybe she went somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because when she was coming to me, like her mom is very like she has extensions, she's a blonde, like
Mhm.
she's going and getting her hair done. And
Mhm.
they started coming or they came to me because they wanted to find someone who could deal with curly hair. And so after a few appointments, because I charge $90. Like I charged $90 for her haircut.
Mhm.
Um, 12 or not,
Mhm.
like it still took me an hour to do her hair. Um So, yeah, they come in and like I said, it's been a year since I'd seen them. And I think it might have been even a little longer. And so the mom was like, "Yeah, so she hasn't gotten a cut since the last time she saw you." And I was like, "Okay." Um, and I will say she doesn't use any heat on it. So it's not like, she's doing heat damage, but hair still gets damaged. And so I'm like brushing it out, and I noticed right away, like 3 inches minimum has to come off. Like, because she had the beautiful curl, and then like the ends were just so straggly, and like they were uh, honestly a lighter shade too, because it's just fucking dead.
Mhm.
And so I did. I like held it up. I was like, I think I at least want to take this much off.
Mhm.
And it still would have been past her shoulders. And, if she were to blow it out, like it would have been even longer.
Mhm.
And so I did cut her hair dry because I like to cut curly hair dry. That way we're not shrinking up too much. But, I go and shampoo her, and it did. I mean, it sprung up, not above her shoulders. It was probably like right here. And she just got really red in the face. She didn't say anything, and neither did the mom, but I could feel like, oh, she's not happy. And I could only assume like when she went out to that car, she might have shed a tear or two. And so I'm just like, I is it my fault for giving you a healthy cut, or is it like parents' fault that you didn't get a haircut for a year, babes? Like,
The way I will lecture somebody's parents, like, I know she doesn't want to come because she's growing it out, but here are the reasons why I need to see her at minimum every 3 months.
yeah,
These are the
literally.
reasons.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
especially if I'm looking at you and you're all pulled together, you got your extension, hair done, nails done, everything did. Bring this baby in here every 3 months to get her hair trimmed
Okay.
so she
Okay.
can have Rapunzel hair.
Yes. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget too, like when I worked at Great Clips, this little girl came in, and her mom brought her in, and she was like, "I'm so sorry." She was at the lake with her dad, who just let her wear her braids all weekend long. And she was out swimming in the lake. She was out swimming in a pool, like taking a shower and not really washing, and it fucking matted up. And I was like, we're going to have two options here. Either she's going to have to sit through this, and it's going to be painful because I
Mhm.
can tell right now she's fucking tenderheaded.
Mhm.
And I can't deal with like crying kids. Like,
Mhm.
there's a reason why I am not a parent.
Mhm.
So, um, and I was like, or we're going to have to cut a lot of it off.
Mhm.
And so thankfully she was able to sit through the combing out, but I literally told the mom, I was like, don't let her dad do that again, cuz some people won't even do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's so much work and so much effort, and I was working at a Great Clips. So like, I'm not charging hourly for this, you know?
That was
So,
very kind of you.
yeah.
You got it a great.
Cause I mean, I get it, like, but holy shit. Let's
Yeah.
be realistic here.
Yeah.
Or I would have made, like, if that were my kid, I would have made my husband or the dad go take her somewhere. Like, you're
Mhm.
not about to embarrass me. You
Well, that
take her to a
part,
salon and tell them that you neglected her hair care. I'm
period.
not doing it.
Well, and also that whole, what are they calling it? Weaponized incompetence,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, you're gonna be accountable for for the decisions that you made while you were hanging out
Yeah.
with your daughter this weekend.
Mhm.
She's a child, of course she's not gonna do it.
Yeah. You're
as
an
a
adult.
tender-headed, I was a very tender-headed child. Still am tender-headed. That's why I wear my hair locked generally. Um,
Mm.
because I don't want to have to detangle my hair because it hurts. I'm trying to be a big girl, but I hate it.
I mean, I was a pretty big tomboy growing up. I don't know if I told this story before, but there was a time I probably was like 13, 14, and I didn't like brush my hair, do anything. I just like kept it in a bun for like 2 weeks. And when I tell you that shit,
Hmm.
and when I went and saw my dad, cuz my dad would like do my hair. He used to braid my hair, like do all the styles, everything. And I knew I was going over there and I knew he probably wanted to do my hair, and I just like went to the shower and like washed it. And I remember like coming out and he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Yeah, didn't do anything for like 2 weeks." And he was like, "You have two options. You're either going to sit here, be quiet, and we are brushing this out, or we're going to shave your head and you're going to be bald." And I was like, "No, I can't be bald." And
Hmm.
so it took 13 hours to detangle all of it.
That's
And
love.
he used a horse brush at some parts because it was just, yeah, never again.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I also have a childhood trauma story about detangling, but we'll tell it another episode. Mine is actually captured in a family